it's been pretty damn dangerous for me that Movie Tavern is on my way home from work. Because there's nothing I want to do after work more than go have adult beverage and watch a movie. Like, sit in the dark away from people and have, like, a glass of wine or a carafe of wine, which they offer. Sometimes 2 carafes of wine. Don't judge me.
You should do it. More.
No, I've already seen like 4 movies there. It's so expensive, Josh.
Yeah, because when you get the wine
expensive.
and the ticket.
No, and their tickets are more expensive too, usually.
How much are they?
$10-ish.
Wow, yeah, that's not good. It's not, like, bad, but it's not good.
I could be making that up completely. It has to be over $10. But either way, like, I usually get some food and alcoholic beverages. It's something that it should be a special occasion thing, and for me, it's like every 2 to 4 times a week. Bartenders started recognizing me. That's when I know I have to change my life.
Welcome once again to Noah Snark. We're 2 former religious types. Current snarks take a look at religious media on its own terms.
Does your button say Dunkin' Dungeons and Dragons? But it's a Dunkin' Donuts button. What? That's not amused me so much. I'm drinking Dunkin' right now. Yeah. Okay, what's my line?
I'm Hillary.
Oh, right. I'm Hillary.
And I am Josh, a.k.a. Mobster Jesus.
I dig it.
Now, do you have anything you want to hit or miss?
No, I don't think so. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
I haven't re-listened to last week's one. I was going to start editing today.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I'm just saying, like, I haven't listened to it, so I can't comment on it.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something on there. But I have listened to the, Hanukkah one. And I think it was A-okay.
Rugrats is great. The Maccabees show was fine.
It was good. I learned stuff. I apologize for being hungover. It's very unprofessional.
Well, we're getting paid, so, you gotta make sure you get it right.
It's true. You're right.
So
lots of stakes.
Yeah. So, Hillary, let's talk about what we're doing today.
Today we are doing The Way of the Master.
Well, we are beginning Kirk Cameron month.
Woohoo.
And it's a non-movie week, so we didn't do a movie this week. We did his TV show, The Way of the Master.
Woo-wee.
Yes, and
We've touched on this before when we did a Ray Comfort episode.
Yeah, it was more or less a part of Ray Comfort's Fool movie.
Right.
Because his banana embarrassment happened on a Way of the Master episode.
Yes.
Though not one that we just watched.
I'm assuming there's some embarrassment that happens on every episode, because the 2 that we watched was pretty embarrassing. Yeah.
Yes, but I just wanted to feel like a nice month is dedicated to the myth, the legend, Kirk Cameron. And
the evil mastermind.
The evil mastermind. It also ties into what we're doing next week, which you will find out at the end of this.
You know what? I'm not looking forward to it. Also, I do like this idea of Kirk Cameron month. Mm-hmm. I do hope it means that we will not deal with Kirk Cameron for a long, long time
I don't intend to.
Cool. So it's like a Band-Aid. We're just ripping...
Rip the Kirk Cameron Band-Aid off.
Ripping Kirk Cameron off of
He
us.
makes a surprisingly little amount of work. So it's actually pretty easy to avoid him.
Mm.
You know?
It doesn't seem like that. It seems like he seems pretty productive.
No. I think he's like a behind-the-scenes guy at this point, mostly.
Cool.
Yeah, he's got this TV show, he's got his ministry.
He had a lot of movies, though, back then. Like, back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, All of the Left Behinds and The Fireproof and the Christmas one.
But he doesn't do that much anymore.
Cool. Good for him. He made the right choice.
Do you remember what you wrote down to describe this in one sentence?
I do remember that I didn't remember to describe it in one sentence.
That's fine, because I have one.
I'll think about it, though, while you're talking.
Kirk Cameron and Ray Comfort crank the self-righteousness to 11, but we have to listen because they truly, deeply, soulfully care about us, guys.
I think this could be easily summed up as earnest logical fallacies.
That's pretty good.
Just nonstop.
We're just going to leave it to you to do small phrases that can describe it perfectly. Okay. But let's go ahead and get started on these 2 episodes we watched from The Way of the Master show. It's just episodes 1 and 2. We're not doing anything fancy.
Just the 2, and you know what? It's less than an hour with both of them combined, and it felt so much longer.
I know. You don't have to tell me. I literally kept pausing to check.
I did too!
Oh my god, how are there 8 minutes? I've been here for an hour!
It's literally it. Like, I would check and be like, okay, 14 minutes. We're like halfway done. Mm-hmm. And then I'd check again. I'm like, it's been at least 25 minutes. And then like, no, it's 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes.
Why? Oh! Okay, so let's talk about the first one.
Okay.
Patriotic music guides us in as Kirk Cameron himself walks down a flight of stairs outside some state capitol or something. And he tells us the story of a firefighter who's recently been charged with grave neglect of duty because he failed to release rescue equipment and it led to the death of a family of 5.
Did you check up on this? I tried to find
this. This is almost certainly a made-up story.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's an analogy. He's trying to...
Okay, but he's painting it like this is a true story. Right. This is a real thing that happened. And they really lean into the lie. They come up with all sorts of like he couldn't go save them because he was, listening to a CD player that he got his boss, and he thought that was more important. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I mean, even if it was a true story, mm-hmm. I don't know. I hate this. I hate this so much.
Well,
so manipulative.
Let's get to the point before we.
Okay.
But we will talk about how much we hate it.
Yeah.
As Hillary pointed out, the story is that he was inside the fire truck rather than rescuing the family because he was testing out a new high-tech CD player that he bought for the fire chief.
And he could even hear the screams of the mother as she jumped from the top floor.
Right.
Right. So dramatic.
And the fire chief at trial immediately distanced himself from the neglectful firefighter, mm-hmm. and he dishonorably discharged him from the department. And in a prepared statement, he said, "There are no words to describe such a betrayal of those he was sworn to protect." And the prosecutor has argued that for more than 3 minutes after arriving on the scene, the firefighter listened to a CD on earphones while a family cried out for help. And then, like you mentioned, the mother jumped to her death while holding a baby.
Right, which he apparently watched.
Right, and witnesses.
Passively, right.
Witnesses saw it as well, and they also saw the father holding the 2 other children as they were also all engulfed in flames. And all of this happened in full view of the firefighter in question, who has not mounted much defense for himself, but has asked that the judge take into account that the firefighter spent a lot of money on the CD player. The gift.
Yeah, so you should take that into consideration.
Kirk then asks us
story.
What we think a fitting punishment is for this crime, and asks us to actually choose an answer because the story's going to come back around real soon. Mm-hmm. So I chose to bite. Here. I'm
just gonna try again and just see if I can find any kind of news article.
No, it never happened.
Did you know that for a fact?
I've seen enough Christian nonsense to tell you that it never happened. This is a made-up story.
No, I 100% believe that, but I just want to, before we have to next week do a hit or miss.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise, I have found nothing. I'm pretty good at Googling. It's a skill of mine.
They made the story up. It was never a question for me. Granted, I didn't even bother looking it up, but... So Kirk Cameron has asked us to choose a punishment. Did you bother even thinking about it, or were you still focused on whether or not it was a true story?
I didn't. Of course, I didn't follow their stupid.
Well, before I continued, I decided he wants to play a game. I'll play his game. Mm-hmm. What would I think would be appropriate for this? And I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't entirely certain that any jail time would be appropriate. I know, you're a firefighter and it's your job, but it's also really hard. It's really weird to enforce. You have to run into a burning building where we put you in jail.
Yeah.
Obviously, dishonorably discharging, that's reasonable.
Right.
Perhaps a fine.
He definitely should be fired.
Yeah, he should absolutely be fired.
Right.
Perhaps a fine is appropriate. And if it is going to come to jail time, I don't know.
No, it's like...
a few years?
What's it called? I guess it actually is from the Bible, isn't it? It was the passiveness of good men, or fuck.
All it takes for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing?
Yeah,
something like that.
Something like that, but it also now makes me think of Boondock Saints. Mm.
Yeah, but jail time?
No.
It'd be a hard sell.
I don't think what he did was illegal.
Exactly.
That's the thing. That's what jail time is. It's when you do something illegal.
Right.
Right.
Like you said, clearly you should be fired. Clearly, maybe a fine.
Right.
Or some sort of responsibility.
I feel
jail time is hard to push for, you have to run into a burning building. You don't have a choice in the matter.
Meanwhile, the people watching this are probably screaming, tar and feathering at him.
Right. But it's, you can't enforce people do that with jail time. People freeze up all the time. Soldiers do it.
Right.
Firefighters do it. The cops do it. the cop should freeze up more instead of shooting everything in sight.
But they don't even... I expected there to be a conclusion, but there never really is a conclusion to this. This is like an open-ended question. Yeah. They talk about it at the end again, don't they? Maybe a little
They're going to bring it up pretty soon.
Okay, whatever. But it's like, if you truly believe in God, then you don't think any punishment should be doled out by humans.
Well, that's
That's a thing that drives me absolutely insane.
Just let God sort it out?
Yeah, it's like Christians who believe in corporal punishment. Did I say that right?
Yes, after a couple tries.
Corporal.
Corporal
punishment. I told you. I only got 6 hours of sleep last night for some reason. It's actually a lot of sleep.
Yeah, it is. I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say.
It's not enough for me, right. But that's a normal person's somewhat normal.
That's how much I slept.
Now tell me what you were saying.
Oh, what was I saying? Oh, I was just going to say, we cut off here because Kirk is letting us answer the question, and we get the intro to the show, which is really just bad music playing over Kirk Cameron's voice. Mm-hmm. And he's talking about reaching out to the lost and eternal salvation.
Oh, this is the fun part where they have, creepy, is it the creepy music and all the words are popping up around his face?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, whoever came up with that font is the Zodiac Killer.
When was the first time the video cut out for you? About
almost exactly halfway through this episode, and then again towards the end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the kind of cutout where, it just cut to the screen that I showed you, which is like one of those old school when there's no television to be shown. It's just like the rainbow colors. Yeah, and there was no way for me to go forward or backward or anything. I had to completely refresh the page and then try to guess about where it won't be doing that to me anymore. Mm-hmm. And it usually was 2 or 3 minutes after that bad spot, which I just think is either God working through my computer or my computer is sentient and saving me from all the worst parts, because it tended to be over Ray Comfort's garbage nonsense.
Stupid face.
Yeah, so props to Hewlett-Packard. Thanks, buddies.
I think you were texting me about it, and I was like, maybe it's Satan.
Yeah, and I was just like, Satan's got my back. He's like, you don't want to see this.
But yeah, so the Zodiac Killer introduction follows. And we see that Kirk is sitting next to a friend of the show, Ray Comfort, and he talks about how easy it is to worship God. Especially when you think about how beautiful and wonderful he is, and all the love that he expressed through the cross. Mm-hmm. Because it's as natural for a Christian to worship the Lord as it is for a flower to open toward the sun.
Blah, blah, blah.
And it's easy to say, I love you, Lord, but it's not so easy to demonstrate that love by obeying his commands. And one of his commands is to seek and save the lost, and that's the reason that Jesus came to this earth. He said, go out into the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Oh, man. And I was watching this, and I was like, oh my god, this is so... Clearly I'm not the audience for this.
Yeah.
But goddamn, it's intolerable.
Intolerable.
Even if you are the audience, can you imagine?
I have such a hard... I know they exist, but I have such a hard time imagining anybody watching this and being like, yes. You know.
Ooh, you got it, girl.
Yeah, or just fucking preach. Maybe changing their lives because of these two men. Oh,
yeah.
Fuck.
But now we cut to Ray Comfort the Kiwi. And he is instructing us further. And he tells us that only 2% of Christians in America actually share their faith with others.
That's too many. That's too many percents.
Way too many. They're either locked in worship and don't care about the fate of the ungodly, or they don't know what to say. And he brings it back around to the firefighter. He says, that's just like the firefighter saying, I didn't know how to rescue those people. Or rather, I didn't know how to rescue those people. In Rick
Which the firefighter never, the imaginary firefighter never even said that in the story.
Right.
He never said he didn't know how to.
Right. But according to Ray, if he's a firefighter, he should have learned and studied how to help.
That was actually pretty good.
Thank you. Back to Kirk. He says, if you're not sharing your faith and seeking the lost, pulling them out of the fire, which is hell.
Right.
Then you are that firefighter.
Meanwhile, they have fire projected on the wall behind them. Mm-hmm. They're in a warehouse, and there's it's like they have a PowerPoint open, and it's just fire.
Fire everywhere.
Yeah.
The point of the story here of this is to say whatever punishment you came up with for the firefighter, that is what you deserve for not sharing your faith with everyone you've ever met.
So we're good.
Because my conclusion was no jail time.
Yeah, I mean, if I was hired as somebody to share my faith and I didn't share my faith, I should be fired.
That's true.
But I also am okay with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm like, I hate this job.
First off, I don't fall into that job category, but even if I did, I won your stupid little game, didn't I, Kirk?
Sharing my faith would be very short. It would be a very short conversation.
Maybe because I'm not a stupid, punitive asshole who thinks you should just go to jail for everything. Fucking Christian justice. Get the fuck out of here. I'm bitter. Bitter as hell.
I think God's going to punish punishers the most.
Right. Oh yeah, like you were saying. Like, why not just...
If you believe that there's a heaven and hell, there's no human punishment doesn't need to exist.
Like, they'll pay their...
You're literally playing God by punishing people. And if you don't realize that that's sacrilegious, then you're a moron, and I know who I'm talking to, and they're morons.
But anyway, Kirk points out that if we refuse to take up this great commission, then God has no choice but to act just like the fire chief and distance himself from us on the day of judgment. The us in this scenario is the Christian audience of this program. Ray now asks what sentence we gave the firefighter, and if we are honest enough to judge ourselves by the same standard. Think of the fate of that family and the firefighter's dreadful neglect. He was no firefighter, he was a Judas, a traitor.
They're just pushing guilt on their viewers.
I know. There's blood on his hands. Now think of those people you know who aren't saved.
I have no idea what you're doing now.
Their fate is in your hands.
You sound like a New Yorker. There's some New Yorker popped in there.
I'm not a goddamn professional over here.
I know, you just keep doing it though.
It's when I think of Ray, I just want to do his silly...
I know, I wish we could actually just play his clips. One day we'll have the technology.
Charles Spurgeon... We're getting a quote from Charles Spurgeon for some reason.
Yeah, I'm assuming you know all these people that get quoted.
Charles Spurgeon is a preacher.
I know at least one of them was like a serious like evangelical preacher or something like that.
I think that's what Charles Spurgeon is.
Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that they look up to for some reason.
Yeah, they quote him like they're quoting the Bible.
Right.
I'm like, that's just a dude, and that's a crazy ass dude too.
But Charles Spurgeon said that if you don't have a wish for others to be saved, then you are not saved yourself. Be sure of that.
All right.
So it's time for a new segment, because every segment's new in the first episode. It's called 1-to-1, and it's about sharing your faith. 1-to-1.
Is that one-on-one?
One-on-one. No, the title of the segment is 1-to-1.
I know.
Yes, but it should be one-on-one, yes.
I hate it. 1-to-1. Nobody says that.
But Ray Comfort...
Maybe it's a Kiwi thing.
Maybe. But Ray Comfort goes out into the streets, and he does his Ray Comfort shtick, where he bothers people about heaven and Jesus with a camera in their face. And it's time-consuming, and it's really pointless to detail exactly what everyone talks about, but essentially, Comfort does his Are You a Person test that we always talk about.
I hate it.
And it's the shame shit every time, so who cares?
It's the shame shit.
I am ashamed of him.
Yeah, that works.
Back to Kirk. We listen to this letter from an unsaved friend, which I'm also positive
is not real.
It's not real. It's just poetry. My friend, I stand in judgment now, and feel that you are to blame somehow. On earth I walked with you by day, and never did you show the way. You knew the Savior in truth and glory, but never did you tell his story. My knowledge then was very dim, you could have led me safe to him. Though we lived together here on earth, you never told me of the second birth, and now I stand before eternal hell, because of heaven's glory you did not tell.
He's reading this out of the Bible, like, so, presumably...
It's very strange.
I'm like, is this like one of those, is this a psalm that I don't recall? No. Or is he trying to make it look like it's in the Bible?
That's
like,
probably the one.
Yeah, I'm like, what form of manipulation is it this time?
Mm-hmm. But Kirk Cameron Slam Poetry Hour is over. So we have to go back to Ray Comfort.
It's not that rhyme scheme.
Yeah,
filled my notebooks in elementary school.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I was just recently talking about...
I thought I was clever.
Yeah, I was just recently talking about how I don't get poetry.
I do not get poetry.
So, I don't understand it, especially if it doesn't rhyme.
I loved writing poetry when somehow that would, I could express myself well with it, but it was literally just for me. It was just for my journals or whatever, and in no way I think anybody else would like or care about it.
Yeah. The
way I feel about other people's poetry.
Right.
Yeah.
I especially don't understand poetry that doesn't rhyme. If it doesn't rhyme, I'm like, why does this exist? It's just a story. Told in abstraction. Just write the words in the middle that go there. But we're back to Ray Comfort, and it's just more of the same. He wants you to spread the word and faith and shit. and it's really, really dull, and we're at 12 minutes into a 28-minute video, and it's all the same. I'm having so much trouble dealing with it.
I believe my computer cut out.
Right here?
Mm-hmm. Somewhere around this spot. And it cut for almost the exact amount of time that Ray Comfort was doing his bullshit Ray Comfort thing. And part of me was like annoyed because I'm like, I have to watch this thing. I'm like, I'm tired. I don't really want to watch it.
Yeah.
I have to like keep refreshing. But then I was like, but I also didn't want to see that. So,
right.
Cool.
Thanks. What's Mr. Scratch?
What's that?
It's a nickname for Satan.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, something like that.
I don't know. Maybe I don't. Go on.
So we're in a new segment, and Kirk and Ray are at Santa Monica, California, and they want to meet with people and talk about the things of eternity. And they say that people are so friendly and appreciate people coming to talk to them about important things. So Ray points out that we are fishers of men, and the key to fishing is going to the fish, not waiting for them to come to you.
Sometimes they jump in the boat, but it's pretty rare.
It's pretty rare.
Thanks, Ray.
Kirk shows off his fancy props, which include a stretched penny with the 10 Commandments on it.
This is so embarrassing.
And some $1 million bills.
He's acting like they're going into not war, but they're going into he's getting himself all jazzed up. He's like, these are my tools. Yeah. I got this pennies. That's a good conversation starter. It's like it's like a really, really, really socially awkward person trying to prepare himself for a party. Yeah. Yeah. He's just like, people like this, this can be a talking point. It's so awkward and uncomfortable and embarrassing.
It's like a kid with, who does magic.
It's exactly like a kid
before
who does magic.
He's like
that
an
actually
adult.
Occurred to me too.
Yeah. Before he's like an adult who knows how to not be awkward all the time.
Right.
He's just like, hey, poof.
I was racking my brain on how I could talk to girls, and I'm like, this is my solution.
I'll blow a fireball in their face.
Oh god, it's so embarrassing. He's a grown man.
But Ray goes into his shtick. He seems to do most of the public speaking. And he does his, if there's a painting, there must be a painter. If there's a building, there must be a builder. If there's a creation, there must be a creator.
Important also, he's also doing that thing where he hands out $1 to people. Yeah. Which is the real reason they're giving him the time of day.
Right, give me $1.
Yeah, they don't ever discuss that.
But, it's the same shit we've heard before. And I guess it's interesting in the sense that Ray has not updated any of his material in at least 15 years. But not at all interesting in a good way.
Well, this was made in 2010. What year was it?
This was 2010?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I looked it up.
Oh. Okay. 8 years. I thought it was 2003. Mm-hmm. Oh.
On the video page, it said produced 2010. It's like July something 2010.
Maybe it was just uploaded to that website.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was 2003.
Okay.
Look it up. Confirm it. Look it up on the wiki.
2003 would make more sense for the quality of the video. Especially the opening.
Zodiac Killer opening before we knew it was Ted Cruz.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. It started in 2004.
Okay.
So yeah.
Close enough. So starting in 2004, that's almost 15 years.
You're right.
I really doubt Ray's going to redo his whole thing right now.
I was being very judgy about their production quality, thinking it was 2010, but so this is better. Okay, go on.
We're back in the studio again, and Kirk makes another analogy about fire, because he's hell-minded today. Mm-hmm. He says, what if we woke up in the middle of the night one night, and your neighbor's house was on fire? So you jump up, you put your clothes on, and when you make it over there, you think, well, I don't want to offend them. And so you just quietly knock on the door and say, excuse me, just want you to know, and this is Kirk talking about himself, right? My name is Kirk, and I really care about you. And so you might want to come over to my house. Not that there's anything, wrong. It's just, he gives this weird analogy about how you want to be really...
Yeah, I drifted.
Yeah. And he says, continuing on, you can't just go into the street and scream, repent, repent, you're going to hell, because you look like a lunatic. Even though, let's be clear, this is what he actually believes.
It is exactly what he believes. It is insane.
So he says you can't tell the truth.
Yeah.
You look crazy when you say the truth.
Right.
But you want to go in and be really...
We both agree. You look crazy when you talk about what you believe. We both agree.
That you will look crazy if you just say what you think.
Good thing you have a network.
This is a point I made. I don't remember how many ago it was. I'll get back to it in just a second.
Okay.
Because Kirk then explains that the point of this program is to cut straight to the heart, circumvent the intellect.
Right.
To convince people to believe in Jesus.
Do your best to keep people from thinking.
Right.
So that it basically is just like, this is our tactic. These are our ways of manipulating.
Right.
Yeah, lying and manipulating is exactly what this entire program is about.
Yeah.
How to best lie and manipulate to get people to agree to things that they probably won't be following once they walk away from you.
Right. And this is what I was trying to say. I wanted to describe this first because it came up recently, and that was my point.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, right, because when you have true facts on your side,
right,
you have to mentally manipulate people rather than just tell them the truth.
Right.
That's why climate change people are always like, you should really believe in climate change because of Jesus.
Right.
No, we just tell you. Here
How
are
do
the
you
facts.
feel about the climate, though?
Right.
Right. What in your heart? What does your heart tell you about climate change?
People who advocate for vaccinations. We are some of them.
Yes.
Just say, hey, you should vaccinate. You know why? It prevents disease.
There's literally no reason not to.
Right.
There's all the reasons to and zero reasons not to.
Well, there is one good reason not to.
Go.
Some people are born with autoimmune disorders.
Yes, okay, you're right.
And they can't be vaccinated, which is
why
you need to vaccinate.
everyone else needs to vaccinate. Yes, you're absolutely right.
If you don't have a medical reason not to vaccinate, you need to do it.
Yeah.
Notice how this conversation is not me manipulating you into believing me.
Right.
Because it's just true.
If I really needed to help, if I needed to convince you, I would have to do more research and have paper in front of me.
Right.
And show you actual statistics
right.
and actual scientific facts.
Right. But all of that is based on your intellect. I'm hoping you're intelligent enough to follow the evidence.
Correct.
Not Kirk and Ray, who are hoping you are not intelligent enough to follow the evidence.
Right. And we see why they hope this, because boy, do they not even make one single good point.
Well, Ray does claim next that he intends to teach us how to prove God's existence biblically and scientifically.
Yeah, but never does.
Oh, I know. But I was just like, ooh, a scientific argument.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I know.
Maybe it'll be about bananas.
I love the... Oh, God.
So now we go to another segment. This is called Q&O, Questions and Objections. And Kirk asks us what we say to someone if they don't believe in Adam and Eve as real people, just mythical figures.
This is the best worst. Please go on.
So he says, if Adam and Eve weren't real people, then we also have to doubt that their children were also real people, and the children after that, and the children after that, and thus the first 11 chapters of Genesis have to be untrue, because it's primarily genealogy.
Right.
But we know that the Bible is filled with accurate and trustworthy genealogies, because history and archaeology prove that. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
But Jesus came from someone who also came from someone, and Jesus was descended from Adam, according to these genealogies.
Right. And
you can't be descended from a myth.
So there you go.
Nailed it. I'm
Fact.
Kirk Cameron, and I just totally fucking nailed shit.
He really thinks that he's being convincing. Like, I think he really thinks he is. He's so earnest about it.
It's so stupid.
What is this one? Is this circular reasoning?
This is...
No, it's, oh my gosh.
I guess
I'm so rusty on them.
I would call it an appeal to ridicule.
Is this begging the question?
No.
No, that's what Ray Comfort does later.
Right.
Fuck.
I would call it a reductio ad absurdum, probably. Because he's saying...
What's the alternative to that? They have the what's the other... What's that called, alternatively?
Appeal to ridiculousness, basically. Because he's saying it has to be true because the alternative is ridiculous.
Right.
It's like, no, it's not. The alternative is true. Especially because when you know anything about genealogy, especially in the Bible, Jesus has 2 of them. Now, are they largely the same? Sure. He was always Joseph and Mary's kid. But he literally has 2 different genealogies because one wanted to attach him to Adam and the other wanted to attach him to Abraham.
Right. I knew there were 2 different.
Right.
So they're already contradictory.
Right. And now, obviously, if you believe this stuff, you think Abraham is also descended from Adam. But the point is... The genealogies aren't the same. They don't just go to Abraham and then further down to go to Adam. They go different routes. And obviously Joseph and Mary are different people, have different family lines. But the point is, you can't give two genealogies of the same person and then be like, but the genealogies are so reliable. At the very best case scenario, they're confusing.
It's like, we know that Adam and Eve
were real. Because
because Jesus came from Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's... After Kirk Cameron's questions and objections, we go back to Ray Comfort, and he tells us again that his plan is to show us how to circumvent the intellect to convince people of things, go towards people's conscience rather than their brains. And we cut to him talking to a woman about how important it is to share the gospel. Mm-hmm. And she's recently had this illustrated to her because a friend of hers died.
This poor girl. She should not be having to deal with this right now.
Now, the good news for her was that the friend that died was saved.
Yeah.
So he is not burning in hell for all eternity.
Right.
Because had he not been saved and had died in his sins, her and her other friends who were also believers would never have been able to forgive themselves. And we're supposed to be like, oh, what a sweet, touching tale about how people believe gross, absurd, ridiculous, disgusting things. Mm-hmm. And your friend's dead. That's too bad.
Yeah, it's just like she gets emotional, which I would too. It was like 2 weeks ago or something that her friend had died.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And he takes this opportunity to make her feel guilty about not being more aggressive with everybody else in her life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, God, leave this fucking girl alone. And I'm like, and also, you're preaching to a choir here. She already believes what you believe.
Oh, they do that all the time.
I know. Like, the only people that they're talking to are people who are already like believers, so it's not like anyone's being convinced. It's just like you're just going around talking to people who believe the same thing as you do, but to make them feel bad. Mm-hmm. So fuck you.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck you, Ray Comfort.
But the good news is, with that, this episode's over.
Sweet.
So we nailed it. We got through it somehow.
Yeah.
I literally wrote down here in my notes, why do I do this to myself? Yeah. I don't want to watch the second one.
I mean, my disdain for you cannot get any, more intense. Yeah. So I'm just hovering around.
Yeah. It's like a bad marriage.
Yeah, exactly. Or just like, it's more effort not to.
Alright, but the second episode is up now, and we get the same inspirational music from the very beginning of the last one, except this time it's over shots of a stained glass in a church.
I love stained glass.
Stained glass is cool.
I wish more places had it that weren't churches.
Yeah, we should just do it.
Yeah, I plan on, if I ever build my tiny house, or...
The walls are all stained glass?
No, because I'm very klutzy, so it has to be very small, little stained glasses here and there out of reach.
That's fair.
I will destroy them.
But Kirk and Ray are in that church, filming their little show, and Kirk thinks that we should be excited about what God is doing in the world, because pockets of revival are happening all over, and they're leading to people being saved, and churches even needing to build bigger buildings. Now he's going to share a secret with us today. And we get cut off, before he tells us a secret, by the same Zodiac Killer intro.
Yep.
It's a little montage with weird font, designed in a cipher. It says, I am Ted Cruz, and I'm here to murder everybody.
No, I'm talking about, like, whenever, like, he's talking to the camera and, like, words just appear next to him. That's what I was talking about, not the opening. Okay, cool. Never mind, we're on the same page.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yes, not when he's just going through the show.
When he's literally just talking, and then, like, words that he's saying are every now and then, like, the most, like, the ones that are, like, the words from dramatic effect are just, like, they just appear, like, they were written by Voldemort in the air.
Right. I see. Right. And those are the words that say, I am Ted Cruz, I'm here to kill everybody.
Exactly.
My dad murdered JFK.
Correct. I hate couples.
The secret is told to us by Ray Comfort, and he tells us that one year, I think 1991, 294,000 decisions for Christ were recorded by some major denomination in the United States.
Okay, you tell me this. Is decisions for Christ just people being saved? Is that what it is?
I think that's what they're trying to say.
I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about for this whole opening.
You make a decision to, like, I believe in your Jesus.
So, like, they're recording this. Like, they have, like, a little, like, notepad, and they're like, did you make the decision? And people are like, yeah, like, sweet. And then they, like, check a box.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're like, we got hundreds of thousands.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming this is nationwide.
Right.
It's not just one church.
Well, no, I'm just, but I'm just saying, like, they keep, I guess they keep a log.
Yeah, Tribulation Trail did it. I mean, they're a much smaller scale operation.
Right.
But if you go on their website, they'll tell you.
But it's basically like a census for churches.
But they'll tell you, in the last 10 years, we've had 2,107 people make decisions for Christ.
Yeah.
Of those, this amount of people did X, Y, Z. Like, they keep track of this stuff
That's
because
so fucking weird.
It helps them bolster their numbers.
Yeah.
So, yes. But Ray also points out that only 14,000 of those people actually went to church regularly, making nearly 90% of people who make the decision to follow Jesus fall away. They're not that interested.
He says that like that's the only thing that could have happened. Not that somebody lied to you. Because you were cornered in the street.
Right. Hey, would you like to believe in Jesus or I stab you?
Right, like, or just like, sure. Can I preach to you? You're like, no, I already believe.
And of course, this is devastating news for people like Kirk and Ray or the audience of this show. But I think pretty spectacular news for rational people. Mm-hmm. But it's presented to us as a very troubling statistic.
Right.
And Kirk is here to help us woo these backsliders. He and Ray are going to show us the key, described in the Bible, to release these imprisoned souls. He says that Satan has twisted the modern church to not want to use this divine key to save souls, and he just wants us to approach what he's saying with an open mind.
They are obsessed with everybody else in the world.
Yeah.
Live your own fucking life. Leave everyone alone.
But Kirk intends to blow our fucking minds holes. Mind holes.
Our mind holes?
He's going to blow our mind holes.
I hope I don't have too many mind holes. I've only done X like 3 times.
He's going to create a mind hole and blow it.
The majority runs in my family.
He's now quoting the Bible. He says, the Bible says, the law of the Lord is perfect in converting the soul. And he says the 10 Commandments is the God-given key to unlock salvation. And then he gives us another Charles Spurgeon quote, but who gives a shit what Charles Spurgeon says?
It's like, that could say anything. It could just, like Mark Twain said, you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything, right? Like, that's not
Reports
proof.
of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Like, that's as related, isn't it? I don't care what Charles Spurgeon says.
Who is this guy? And even if I didn't know who he was, who cares? It's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. But to demonstrate the function of God's law, Kirk wants us to reflect on civil law. Imagine if he told you that someone has just paid a $25,000 speeding fine on your behalf. You'd probably say, what? What are you talking about? I don't have a $25,000 speeding fine. Then you reflect on how absurd it would be to even receive a $25,000 speeding fine. Then in this scenario, you look down and realize what's happened. You're black. And you think, oh, that explains it.
Josh, you're taking liberties here.
Because you realize, with this transformation has come the understanding of what it means to be in this body and how the law treats you when you have it.
Right.
But anyway, let's get back to Kirk's actual stupid point.
Kirk also likes to point out that maybe your natural reaction would be to be offended. Like, why would that be your go-to emotion?
Yeah, so
how dare you think I broke the law? Everyone breaks the law. You were speeding. You were speeding today, probably.
But after being told that someone has paid this fine that you weren't aware of, Kirk admits that this good news seems like foolishness and is even offensive, like you were saying.
Right.
Because it implies you've broken the law when you haven't. But now he gives you some context.
I broke the law on the way here.
Absolutely. But now he gives some context, and he says, the law clocked you going 55 in a 15-mile zone because you didn't realize you were in an area set aside for a blind children's convention. But someone you don't even know has stepped in and paid this fine for you, and that's great news.
That's the kind of law I wouldn't break, by the way.
Yeah, you can pay that fine.
Yeah.
So you see, explaining what you've done wrong first actually makes the good news make sense rather than seem absurd, because it is absurd.
Yeah.
So
your hypotheticals are getting worse.
Right. So how's this related to their point, you ask? It's very easy. If you go up to a normal, unrepentant sinner and tell him that Jesus died for his sins, it's going to sound offensive and foolish because it makes no sense. And never will. And offensive because it implies that they're a bad person, but they're a lot of way worse people, in their mind. But if Kirk takes the time to show the sinner what he's done wrong first, then the good news makes sense.
Yeah. Which harkens back to Ray Comfort's strategy, which is, have you ever lied? You're a liar! Okay. I can't believe how many people were like, you're right, I am a liar.
Yeah, we then cut to another long and boring presentation about Jesus doing just this, but I'm gonna skip it because this show is apparently just 9 examples of the same shit over and over again.
You're right.
They're like, here's our thesis. Let's talk about that only for the next 20 minutes.
Yes, let's talk about the thesis and then do nothing else. Mm-hmm. Not any kind of experimentation, not any kind of conclusion of logic. Not a logical conclusion, at least.
Right.
Right.
Well, they then do explain that they are skipping around the intellect and going straight to the conscience, which is the same threat they made to us in the last episode. Mm-hmm. And the reason they do this is that the sinful mind is at war with God, and it's not subject to the law. So to be effective, we have to find a place of common ground, and this is the conscience.
Kurt, you're crazy as showing.
So if we start there at the conscience, we can make people see that they need God's forgiveness. So Ray gives us a walkthrough of his "Are You a Person?" test, and of course,
which, by the way, is about where the video player cut out for me again. True story.
That's fantastic.
It was fantastic.
I had no issues.
At this point, I started getting joyful about it. I was like, I did it again!
But let me give you a quick rundown. I know we've talked about it before, so I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. First, you ask them the question, do you consider yourself a good person? Most people say yes. Then you ask if they've...
Give me the test, and I'll try to be like one of the people.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we'll try this, and then we can just read it also, and I want to see if this works.
Okay. Do you consider yourself a good person?
Yeah, I'm a really good person.
Like, okay, that's great. Have you ever told a lie?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I've told a lie.
So what does that make you?
Guess I'm a liar.
Have you ever stolen anything, no matter how small it is?
Yes.
What does that make you?
I'm a thief.
This is his dream scenario.
I know.
Have you ever blasphemed God? Have you ever used God's name as a cuss word?
Every day. Every fucking day.
And then, have you ever looked at a man with lust?
Oh no, you got me here, no. Never done that. But for the sake of... Yes. Okay. Yes, I've done that.
Okay. So he goes, so you know what Jesus said? He said, if you've ever looked at a woman or a man with lust in your heart, then that makes you an adulterer at heart. So, according to you, in your own words, you're a lying, thieving blasphemer and adulterer at heart.
Oh my God.
So, if you die and you get to heaven, and you're judged on those standards, how do you think you're going to do? What do you think's going to happen to you?
I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell, Ray Comfort.
So, that's essentially...
Yeah. And that's actually how some people react.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, I am a thief. I'm going to hell.
So he tells you that if you die with all this on your soul, you're going to burn in hell, because that's a rational response to all that.
Right.
And the good news is, God has sacrificed himself to pay the ransom he demanded from you, so long as you agree to worship him. So that's good for us.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Jesus and God are up there like, hey, yo, nice soul you got there. Sure would be a shame if something happened to it.
Wise guy Jesus is my new favorite character.
But this is literally how he...
I want him in a zoot suit.
This is how this is... I'm not even saying anything that's not true.
No, I know.
He was born...
You're not being hyperbolic.
I know.
It's exactly how they think.
It's like, oh man, nice place you got here. Sure would be bad if someone threw it in hell for all eternity. It's like, who's gonna do it? You!
That would suck. Please don't.
Like, well, I guess you gotta pay my protection money. It's like, it's no different from the mob coming in and tearing up your art gallery.
You're absolutely right. Oh my God.
So...
Throwing you into the East Bay.
Yeah. But we're past the presentation and we have to sit through more one-on-one. But because we love you more than Kirk or Ray does, dear audience.
I do, actually. I really believe I love them more than them.
We're not going to go through the play-by-play of it all, because who cares?
Yes.
Needless to say, they're not going to show you the times that it didn't work. That's really all that you need to know. And back in the church, Ray tells us about the function of the law. It's to stop a sinner's mouth, to stop them from justifying themselves, leaving the whole world guilty before God. Nice soul you got there. So the law of the Lord...
You made this soul! Why is it bad?
Yeah. But the law of the Lord also tells us what sin is, and it's the transgression of the law. The law doesn't help us, according to Kirk. It leaves us helpless. It doesn't justify us. It leaves us guilty. We're not saved by the law. We're saved by grace. Ah, that's the name of the old movie.
Oh, God, don't even bring that up again.
And the law shows us that we are dirty sinners who need God's grace. So now we have to watch Ray do the same thing Kirk just did with that other guy, but we're more merciful than this shitty God, and will again spare you the details.
Yeah.
But they both have little interview segments out on the street with some random person.
By the way, Kirk is way better at it than Ray Comfort is.
Yeah.
He's still spouting garbage, but he seems way more sincere and way more invested, and actually has a conversation with people where he's not just shouting at them.
Yeah.
Where Ray Comfort's strategy is talk fast and try to confuse everybody, and Kirk is actually trying to have a conversation. So I'll give him props for that.
Props to Kirk.
Yeah, he still hurt a boy's feelings. That poor boy. That guy had the worst day after that.
That's true. So now we get to another interview segment where they are bothering teenagers. And they ask teenagers if they can name the 10 Commandments. And of course none of them can, because that would ruin the point of the segment.
This is also when they start utilizing the really fun, wacky morning radio show sounds.
Oh yeah, they were. Whoop!
Tick, tack, tick, tack.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Stupid.
So dumb.
But none of the kids know a single commandment. But on the other hand, the same kids do know the names of multiple types of beer.
Right.
How illustrative. These people don't care about stuff that doesn't matter, but they do love beer.
Right. And they show this as if they just go back to, they approach these people like, can you name some commandments? And then they can't, and then they're like, can you name 10 beers? And then they do. But I have a feeling that this was disguised as like a quiz show kind of a thing. They probably asked them to name a whole bunch of different things. And they just pinned up the ones that they did know against not knowing the absolutely. 10 Commandments. So I, as the audience member, am being manipulated, and I know it, and I hate it.
Oh, yeah. But Kirk and Ray are flabbergasted by this revelation. What a fallen world! Woe is us! How will we ever continue?
Do you know how much... I wonder how many wines Jesus can name. That's just more than 10.
He made up some that don't even exist anymore.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wish I could have tried that.
I know.
Oh, well.
Good old Jesus.
Knowing the names of beers is not a thing that means you're...
It's like, yeah, we see commercials and our parents have them in the fridge.
I've been in a bar. I've seen the label. I've seen lists.
The 10 Commandments has no relation to anything relevant or important to my life.
No. They've never had a Super Bowl ad.
About the 10 Commandments. Oh, man. Don't give anybody any ideas.
Oh, I would love that. That'd be hilarious to me.
But basically the program ends with Kirk and Ray imploring us to stay with the program so we can get more quality content just like this. And I can say with certainty that you and I,
yes,
will not be watching any more of this show.
I love you so much.
Ever.
You've earned this is some points that you're earning back.
Yeah, it sucks.
You're regaining some love.
So, let's end it now.
Okay.
Talk about the best and talk about the worst.
Best was Satan intervening on my behalf and removing chunks of both of these episodes.
Yeah.
That was, divine intervention. Worst was the existence of these two men.
My worst is going to be the repetitive nature of it all. Yeah. Again, it's thesis statement. Same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. Oh my god.
Right.
And the best is going to be when I beat Kirk Cameron at his own game. He's like, how much should the firefighter burn in hell for? And I'm like, 0.
0 times. 0
He's like,
burning.
That's what you deserve. I was like, oh, I win.
Yeah, well done.
Ha! Fuck you.
I didn't even know I was playing this game, and I'm on top.
So
I did enjoy. I really enjoy watching the terrible graphics and all the that kind of manipulation.
Yeah,
where it's like while he's talking about how there's fire and so dramatic.
Yeah.
Do
you have anything like this that you'd prefer people watch instead of this?
I can't think of anything like this, period.
I mean, it's just talking head bullshit, right?
Right.
But I came up with something just a few minutes ago that I think works.
Okay.
Cosmos. Just watch Cosmos.
They're doing a special on Mars right now, aren't they?
I don't know.
I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is doing a special on Mars, which is...
You can watch the Neil deGrasse Tyson one or the Carl Sagan one.
Yeah.
Either way, it's about real stuff that matters.
Yeah.
Well, matters. I mean, it's about real stuff.
Matters.
It's about matter.
It's about wordplay.
It's all stuff you can verify for yourself instead of nonsense about your soul burning in hell.
It's all very fascinating. And
it's all pretty interesting.
Right.
Their presentation's a lot better.
They talk about things that are facts and things that are theories.
Right. They distinguish the two. Although, in the scientific world, theory is usually a very...
It can still be all but proven.
Right. Because everything's up in the air, which is one of the great things about science.
Yes.
Because if you are the genius who can disprove a theory, you win a Nobel Prize. You don't get ignored by this scientific establishment.
Right. No, Cosmos is that's a great watch that, not this.
Yeah, so watch that. So let's talk about what we are going to do next week.
Okay. Next week is Saving Christmas.
I mean, it's Christmas time.
No, it's perfect. I actually kind of am looking forward to watching this. I feel like there'll be some good laughs to be had.
And Saving Christmas might be the worst thing we ever do. Like, not
Have you already seen it?
No.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, goody. I like when we were watching something for the first time together.
Yeah. So, not just what we've done so far.
Right.
Saving Christmas might be the worst thing we ever do. It is currently rated, at the time of this recording at least.
Okay, so like you're talking about like critically worst.
Yes.
Okay.
It is currently rated as the number 9 worst movie of all time on IMDb.
This is only getting me exciteder.
It was at one point number 1.
I need to know what's overtaken it.
It won...
Where's Battlefield Earth on this?
I don't know. I didn't look at the whole list. I
saw the
number.
I'm going to look at it later.
It won Worst Picture at the Razzies. Kirk Cameron won Worst Actor at the Razzies.
It's about time.
It won Worst Screenplay at the Razzies. The director was nominated for Worst Director at the Razzies. The supporting cast was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor.
Holy shit!
And last but not least, the movie also won Worst Screen Combo at the Razzies for Kirk Cameron and his ego.
Is that real?
That's real. The worst screen combo was Kirk Cameron and his ego.
This is putting joy in my heart. Possibly the joy of Christmas.
So
this is going to be a gift, I think.
We're going to watch Saving Christmas.
All right.
Just in time for Christmas time.
Yes.
So we can save it.
I'm going to have a lot of watch this, not that's for this one.
Good. And remember, if you like the show, please give us some 5-star reviews on whatever podcast app or service you are using.
Yeah.
And tell all your friends about us and spread the word and get a magnet because we need your help.
Yeah.
I will send you magnets if I need to.
Yeah, we will send magnets.
I have stamps.
You have stamps?
Oh,
you mean for like mail?
Yes.
I was like, we have with Snark stamps now?
No, we have magnets that I will stamp to you.
A stamp to you.
If you just put a stamp on a magnet, do they send it? I know you can mail a potato.
Well, you still have to put the address on it.
Oh, right, good point. I know you can mail a potato.
If you put the address on it.
Yeah, okay.
That's random. And also, why do you know that?
I don't know. Why do I know anything?
Why do we know anything? That's a good question.
Links to everything, including our social media and our website, are in the description of this episode. You can go to that website and you can send us more comments or questions so that we can get all the good ones gathered up and address them in our mailbag segment.
Yes. I can't wait for that special episode.
That's right. And as always, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.